The chairman of the Higher Education Commission of Pakistan, Dr Banuri, made a significant statement on Sunday about the education system of Pakistan. Here's what he said. The education system of Pakistan neither creates good students nor good citizens. Although the statement is as true as it sounds like, and the people on social media are joking that it's official now that the education system of the country does not produce good students or good citizens. The chairman unfortunately did not clarify what was the problem. Although he made such statements as different types of education or different types of knowledge and autonomy of universities, etc., but there was nothing to suggest that he explained the problem away. So I thought if I could unpack some of this stuff around it with the help of this video. And mind you, it's not possible for me to explain every bit of this of the system from school level to the universities in a 10-15 minutes video. I'll instead concentrate on a piece of paper which is very much the part of that system. I have with me the English Precis and Composition paper of the CSS 2021, the most recent English paper I could get of the most prestigious examination of the country, and let's see if it could give us some clues to understanding why the education system of the country does not produce good students and good citizens. By looking at questions of this paper, we'll try to understand what's in there and how these questions implicate how the English language, at least the written part of it, should be taught or promoted to be taught or learned at the highest level in the country. And remember, this is just English language, not Indo-Pak history or Pakistan studies or Islamic history. It's plain English. Your literacy in English language is being checked. So I have with me the second part of the English Precis and Composition paper of the CSS 2021. The first part seems to be attempted on a different piece of paper or attempted on a computer. I do not know. The second part starts with question number 2. Write a précis of the following and suggest a suitable title. Okay, so let's read the passage from which a précis should be written with a suitable title. Nizar Hassan was born in 1960 and raised in the village of Mashhad near Nazareth. So these are the names of places in Palestine, I guess. So I don't know whether I'm pronouncing this correctly, but Nizar Hassan was born in 1960 and raised in the village of Mashhad near Nazareth, where he has lived with his family. He studied anthropology at Haifa University, and after graduating worked in TV. Starting in 1990, he turned to cinema. In 1994, he produced Independence, in which he pokes his Palestinian interlocutors about what they think of the bizarre Israeli notion of their independence. They have stolen another people's homeland and called the act independence. Hassan dwells on that absurdity. So the first thing I want you to think about is the character and the mind of the person compiling the paper, let alone the subject matter of the passage, which I'll be discussing shortly. There is not even a decent written English in this passage, which is, by the way, evidence to suggest that the passage has been cut from a random newspaper or from the internet. And this can also tell that the person compiling the paper, who is, I believe, very likely a senior CSS qualified officer, has not even read or does not even know a decent book to quote a passage from. So now come to the passage itself. As you start to read the passage, it becomes, I believe, as bright as daylight, if you can see it, and everyone can see it if they are seeing, that the passage is not entirely to test your English language skills, which is perhaps secondary. The fundamental purpose of the passage is to influence your opinions about Israel and Palestine. Now, if you think that your English language skills are being tested, no, this is not a language test at all. This is a concentrated effort to affect your opinions about Israel and Palestine. Basically, you are being told that Israel has occupied Palestine, and being a Muslim, it's your moral and religious duty to hate Israeli people, hate Jews no matter where they are on the planet. And once you develop that feeling of hatred for the Jews, you begin to think that it's not just the Jews who are conspiring against Muslims, but Hindus too. Why not hate Hindus too? And it doesn't even stop there, because hatred is very infectious. You think of other religions and think that they are basically against Islam because they are not Islam, so why not hate them and the people who practice them? And remarkably, it's in a single paper aimed at testing your English language skills, and it could easily end up plunging the whole country in the fire of hatred and conspiracy and revenge and bloodshed and everything. And all started by a single piece of paper. Not even a single paper, the first 2 lines of the first question, testing your English language skills. And even before the result is announced, they've very probably turned you into a corrupt individual by no fault of your own. Your ability to think has been completely taken away, and this is done very surreptitiously, as secretly as possible. You are busy attempting the perceive when you are being influenced. You are not even thinking about it. It's like hijacking the plane when the pilot is in sleep. And remember, this is not the first or the last time you are being told this. This has been said to you thousands and thousands of times before, even when you didn't know how to read and write. And remember, all happens unconsciously and subconsciously. And once you pass the CSs, and as an empowered officer, you consider it your moral and religious obligation to promote the cause of Islam and of Kashmir and Palestine, with one hand in your pocket, on the other with a stick, supervising protests and rallies for the Kashmirian and the Palestinian cause. And when the news breaks out that such a man or a woman has been burned or beaten to death for blasphemy, you may condemn it with an open mouth, but deep down in your heart you still think that was actually right. Glory to Islam. Because your ability to think has been long taken away. Okay, now look at the other questions and see what other forms of corruption can be conceived from those. Question number 3, correct only 5 of the following. Question number 4, punctuate the following text. Now, it's strange that they are still testing your English language skills. Didn't they test them with their superb, unbiased, impartial first question? Why punctuate here? Haven't I been punctuating when I attempted the first 2 questions? Can you not see it from there? Question number 5, rewrite the sentences with appropriate prepositions. Like why? I've been using prepositions in writing all the questions above. And if they still think that that's not enough, I've written a full-length essay, like 3,000 words, 4,000 words, 5,000 words. Can they not see it if I've been using correct prepositions, correct spellings, and correct punctuations from there? The funniest of all is the pair of words. It, like beggars believe that knowing these words can qualify anyone for being an officer. How's that? Now we've found the inherent truth of these questions. Either these are useless questions or they have nothing to do, or very little to do with using or being tested in the English language. But let's see what kind of corruption these can promote and encourage. And if you are overly ambitious, which most of the CSS aspirants are, the effect can be catastrophic in your life. So let's see what an overly ambitious person can do in such a context. I was overly ambitious when I was learning English about 2008-9. I wanted to learn all of it, no matter what. I knew that English was the combination of all of these words found in a dictionary. And I had got one. I had got this big Oxford Learner's Dictionary where the definition of a single word could go up to 5 pages. So I thought if I knew all the words, their meanings in this dictionary, that would mean that I knew all English. So I started and spent weeks learning and memorizing the words and their meanings in this dictionary. I believe I learned all the words starting from the letter A, but but I was noticing something inevitable. The more I tried to memorize more words, the more I began to forget them. So words learned a week before were completely forgotten a week later. I knew I had failed in learning all the dictionary, so I threw the dictionary and went back home. So how this or any CSS English composition paper is corrupting the students and the society at large. Such sort of papers which literally ask you to remember words, their spellings and prepositions, the synonyms and antonyms, etc. are basically promoting a culture of memorization instead of thinking, which is no different from memorizing a dictionary, which I try to do, and I'm sure many overly ambitious students have tried to do as well. This mental corruption has led to other forms of corruption. Think about all the vast number of fake books published by fake publishers in the country. Think about all the books, multiple choice question books on the market, all of the Doger publishers, the Karwan publishers, Bhatti publishers, Karim Bush publishers, Amir Bush publishers, I don't know how many of them. Think about all the money they are making in the name of helping you pass the exams, but in truth, they're sort of boxing you up in your own mental hell, never to come out. As you go along with them, they're kind of continuously negating your ability to think and promoting a culture of memorization. There is nothing which tells you how to think, how to differentiate right from wrong, sympathize with people, be compassionate, and lead a good life. And mind you, these are in fact the best things which I'm talking about. It's in fact unbelievable how disgusting it could get. I happened to have passed one of these exams, I must add, by a pure stroke of chance. So I needed to prepare for the interview. I spent a lot of money, booked a hotel, literally spent 12 to 15 hours a day for like 2 months memorizing the names of all the rivers in the world, all the mountains, all the birds, insects, names of people, their fathers, mothers, uncles, wives, children, literally everything that existed or had existed on the planet. So on the day of the interview, the general knowledge specialist asked me, "What are the mountains on the south of Saudi Arabia?" I said, "Sorry, I haven't been to Saudi Arabia, so I don't know." The Islamic Studies interviewer asked, "Under which tree the Prophet said when he was going to a certain place?" I don't remember. The Park Studies specialist, I think it was the chairman of the commission himself, who asked what type of clothes Qaid Azam was wearing when he was going from Quetta to Karachi. But imagine this was the chairman of the commission asking me this. Imagine the mind, the corruption which existed there in asking such a question. But soon they found out that I didn't know anything, so they quickly entered the interview and I was freed for the rest of my life. So I think this video is getting very lengthy. At the end, I'll just say that education is not knowing the names of random things or anything for that matter. Some of it is certainly knowing about things, but the highest form of education is for making judgments in a complex world. As judgment, Bacon said, is the humor of the scholar. Education teaches you to be doubtful, not to believe or take for granted, but to weigh and consider. Nothing of the sort exists in Pakistan. See you next time.